What's going on, everyone? Josh Jeffy here, Sean Duffy, Sports on Tap. Both Rob and Ed are on assignment tonight, but the two main men are with you tonight.
Right.
As a reminder, you can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter. We are on Instagram. Uh, all the social media platforms. You're going to be seeing this video exclusively on our Facebook page and our website, sportsontappodcast.com. Among other places and various outlets you can see us. Make sure you follow us, like us, and do whatever you need to do. Just make sure you're listening to us. But again, my name is Josh Jeffy. I'm along here on the internet with Sean Duffy, and we are going to go over. We're at the end of our road, which seemed like a road that would never come, but we are at it.
It seemed like a road that we didn't exactly know where it was going when we started all this up, because it's 2020 and nothing makes sense.
Right. So last week when we did our little Zoom show, I guess you can call it, we went over the state semifinals and in one aspect, one state final that was coming up. We previewed that as well, and we are going to do the same. We're going to recap Division I state championship, and then we're going to talk about the rest of the divisions and their state championship games coming up this weekend, and we'll kind of recap what happened last week in the rest of the regions 2 through 7. And then that's going to be it for our football shows. We're going to wrap it up, and we're going to kind of catch our breath, kind of take a little breather, and then we're going to get ready and kind of get on the hockey train, because hockey has started for some teams. We're really looking forward to getting back into the Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League. They are going into their 50th season with the Barron Cup, so it's going to be a very special year. So we're looking forward to that as well. But back to the business at hand.
Yes, sir.
We are going to go over again what happened this past week in Ohio high school football playoff action. We're going to begin in Division I, which is hosted at the Fortress at Obitz down there near Columbus. It was Division I. It was a matchup between Cincinnati St. Xavier and Pick Central, the Pickerington Central. And this game was all Cincinnati St. Xavier on this one. Pick Central is looking to come back to win back-to-back state championships, but it was not their day. Not their day, none the least. Basically, it was domination. That was the key word for this game. Cincinnati St. Xavier held quarterback for Pick Central, Garner Wallace, to just 24 yards of 14 of 13 passing. This game, the score was 30-0 after the first quarter, 44-3 at halftime, and that's how the game would actually end up. The final score, 44-3 in this one, and the state championship goes to Cincinnati St. Xavier. The Bombers dominated the Tigers. Again, domination, keyword of the game. They held the Tigers to only 76 yards of offense, where the Bombers had 354 yards. The Bombers were led by wide receiver Jalen Patterson. In this one, he caught 5 touchdowns all year. In this game, he had 4 himself. He had 5 receptions, 4 of them touchdowns for 105 yards. 2 other receivers for St. Xavier each had 7 receptions apiece. Quarterback for St. Xavier, Brogan McConney, he had a really great game on this one. Again, throwing those 4 touchdown passes to Patterson. He finished the game 25 of 39 for 291 yards and no interceptions in this one. Again, this game was over at halftime, 44-3. It's St. Xavier's first state championship since 2016, and this is their 4th total as a school. They won state championships in 2005, 2007, and again, like I mentioned, 2016 was their last state championship. So congratulations to Cincinnati St. Xavier, a dominating performance for them against Pickerington Central. Congratulations to both teams on finishing which was a really challenging season. But for St. X, a really rewarding end to that really tough season.
Yeah, and it's no, again, congratulations, number one, to Cincinnati St. Xavier. This may be their fourth state championship in school history, but they're not a team or a program that's ever really not in the thick of it every year. Those Cincinnati schools, much like the Northeast Ohio schools, kind of pick each other off and go through a pretty rough schedule and really a rough playoff. I think even Pickerington Central, Menor, obviously Medina we talked about in Division One, St. Xavier, Moeller, all those teams. These are teams you find in the playoffs and in this part of a bracket style tournament like this. This is not, the one surprising thing was it was so lopsided, but I can even amount that to just kind of the way they play the football game. Some teams, and this is where we see that some teams that have been really successful doing one thing have to pivot and do something different. And I think it makes a team like Cincinnati St. Xavier, I think it came down to execution, and they executed, flawlessly. From a defensive side of the ball, I don't think you could ask for much more of a perfect game when you hold them to 76 total yards. I think I heard you say and for an entire game. That's, like you said, that's domination. That's something that you don't see every day, especially in a state championship game where a lot of these teams tend to go conservative, and you don't see that much success on the offensive side of the ball or on the defensive side of the ball. So definitely congratulations, St. Xavier. Hats off to Pickerington Central for making. Look, they made it back to the state championship game 2 years in a row. So again, nothing to hang their heads about. Congratulations, everybody, for finishing the season as best they could in Division One, and we'll see what happens come next year. When obviously Menor is going to be right there. Medina is now a team to look out for. Brunswick could be a team to talk about. If we're just talking Northeast Ohio here, I could even see Strongsville. From the GCC, it kind of represents Division One for our show, and we've touched on it before. The GCC is really set up for the next couple of years to be something special, I think, going into this league, and not having to and getting an opportunity to play other teams instead of each other will be beneficial for them as well.
Yes, for sure. You mentioned GCC. That's the only conference in the state up here that has all Division One schools. So there's going to be some changes in that, and we're going to see. We talked about a little last week. We talked about a little how in the Greater Cleveland Conference Division One, how are things going to kind of change for Solon, Euclid? They're going to have coaches. Elyria is dropping down into another conference, so we'll see how they're going to do this year. So you still have those Shaker Heights. They moved to a new conference this past year. It's going to be interesting to see how those two teams being in new conferences, that's going to either hurt them or help them. I think for Elyria, it's definitely going to help them on a competitive level. And then for other teams in the Greater Cleveland Conference that are still there, you mentioned a Menor. We know is going to be there. Medina's bringing a lot of key players back. And Brunswick's coming off a really good, solid run. They have a lot to build on there. They're a very young team. So things are going to be very interesting when we get back to it next fall. We do still have some teams, though, Sean, at least one still left in it. And we'll talk about the Avon Eagles. They had their state semifinal matchup this past week.
They sure did, and they took on the behemoth in Division II right now, which is the Akron Archbishop Hoban Knights. And, to start this game, Avon found themselves down 14-0 going into halftime. Hoban jumped out to a 2-touchdown lead in the first half. But, Nico Pappas, who's been he is the leader of that team. Offensively, he's the leader of that team. He gives his team an opportunity to win. Was able to notch it up once on the ground with a 2-yard touchdown run and an 8-yard touchdown pass to tie it at 14-0 going into the fourth quarter or early in the fourth quarter. What we found, kind of the same thing that happened last week with Hudson against Hoban. Hoban does what Hoban does. They tied it up. They're not used to the 28 points they gave up in these last two games are the only points they've given up the entire time in the playoffs. So keep that in mind. As they get deeper into this playoff run, They're playing better teams, more explosive offenses, more executing offenses, and they saw that here again against a very good Avon, very well coached Avon team. But Hoban does what Hoban does, and ended up scoring 14 unanswered points in the fourth quarter to take the state semifinal game 28-14 over Avon. This sets up a very interesting, and I'm not from Northeast Ohio, but when you're talking about Northeast Ohio football, you're talking about certain matchups, certain ingrained rivalries. This may be one of them. Massillon-Jackson. Massillon Jackson defeated Cincinnati LaSalle 14-10 in their state semifinal game, setting up
Washington. Massillon, Washington.
Massillon, Washington, not Massillon-Jackson. I'm sorry, Massillon, Washington. Sorry, the Massillon.
No problem.
I apologize. See, yeah. I'm not. Again, I couch everything I'm saying with I'm not from here. So you say Massillon, I'm assuming every Massillon team is the same team. It's just they cut off certain names. But Massillon, Washington, defeated Cincinnati LaSalle 14-10 in their state semifinal game, setting up a very interesting state championship game against Akron Archbishop Hoban. These two teams have met before. This, I believe, will be a third meeting between the two of them. So we'll see who gets the championship here. This, honestly, I think if I'm looking at the slate of games next week, not to say, obviously we follow Division I and Division II pretty heavily. This is a very interesting game. This one I'm going to keep my eye on. And if you have Spectrum TV, I believe these are being broadcast on Spectrum TV. So if you have something to do Friday night, nothing to do, Lord knows the events that are available given the current situation are slowly dwindling. So why not turn it on and watch some high school state championship football, especially Akron Archbishop Hoban versus Massillon, Washington for the Division II state championship. Moving on, Division III, Chardon ended up beating Tiffin Columbian to earn a spot in the Division III state championship. They will face Columbus St. Francis de Sales, who Josh defeated. I can't read my own writing right
now. Stand by. They beat Ketterington Archbishop Alter.
Alter, thank you. That's one that says Archbishop Alter, which is interesting because Kettering Alter is a mammoth in the Dayton area, especially in Division III. I mean, they're always in the state championship and the state semifinals. But Columbus St. Francis de Sales did get the victory, so they will face Chardon in Division III for the state championship. All of these games, mind you, are, I believe, all of them are between Friday and Saturday, depending upon.
There's some Sunday games too. We'll go over the schedule.
Okay.
We'll go over the final schedule when we're done kind of wrapping up the brackets here. But that game, that state championship game will be played on November 20th at 6:15 p.m.
at the Fortress in Obetz, which again, I just have to say, I know it's not Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. I know it's not what we're used to seeing, but if you could pick a better name for a high school state championship football game, you got to go down to the Fortress during your state championship. St. Xavier did, and they didn't have any problem with it. Now Hoban and Massillon, Washington will have to play, and Chardon. Now, again, going back to Avon, congratulations to Hoban, obviously. Whew. But, hats off to Avon. Again, you mentioned it. A team like Avon who, there was a lot of unknowns going into the season. A lot of will they have a game? I mean, they went week to week a lot, especially in the early part of the Southwestern Conference when they played games. They had a couple games canceled on. In fact, they had their first playoff game canceled because of it. Because of COVID. So, I mean, they've been a very adaptable team. I think every team has really been, up for the adapting to the new norm, which is, hey, you got to get ready to play. And my hat's off to that coaching staff at Avon, Coach Elder, his coaching staff, for keeping his team focused, keeping his team executing the way they do it. They came up a little bit short, but again, I think we talked about this ad nauseum going into the playoff run, is that all roads go through Hoban in Division II. They've been the top team all year. They've been pretty much running roughshod over every team they played. Even teams with explosive offenses like your Hudsons, like other teams that they played, have been suffocated by that defense. So, no shame in the game for Avon right now. And again, obviously they're going to be right there next year. We talk about this constantly with this Avon and Avon Lake teams. They don't necessarily rebuild; they just reload. They're for a public school program to have this kind of dominance in an area where teams like your St. Ed's, your St. Ignatius, in Cincinnati, your Moeller, where the private schools kind of tend to do this because they're able to, they have some activity there. Avon has a very good, solid program, and every year they're in discussion for being on a team for a state title. Only one person can win a state title, so to get as far as they did in the uncertainty of where we're at, from a season standpoint, hats off to Coach Elder and the Avon Eagles. It came up a little bit short. It's a heartbreaker for sure, but unfortunately that you can't win them all, and you move on. But again, nothing to hang your head about. Your only loss came in the state semifinals. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, and looking at the other side of that bracket, in terms of Northeast Ohio football, the Massillon-Hoban game is a huge game because we've talked about it. We talked about it last week. Ed brought up the point that Massillon has still never won a state championship when there's been tournament play. They've always been the quote unquote paper champion. So this is a big game, a big test for them against one of the top programs in the state, regardless of division. So this is going to be a big time game for them, and it's going to have a lot of attention of a lot of Northeast Ohio high school football fans. So that's one I'm looking forward to. Chardon again continues on with their great season with a dominating victory. That game was held right here in Brunswick. So they're moving on to what could be a solid state championship win for them. The other game, if we kind of move along here at Division 4, Van Wert against Mentor Lake Catholic. Lake Catholic with a 17-10 victory over Carroll Bloom Carroll. Van Wert had a nice 28-20 victory over Cincinnati, Wyoming. So that game will be played on November 22nd at noon. Then we're going to get to Division 5. And this is a big one in Northeast Ohio as well. Tiger Laverty and Kirtland looking to win another state championship. They will take on Ironton. This is actually a rematch of last year's state championship game. But, a little bit about Kirtland. We don't really talk about them all too often because they're in Division 5. We don't really have a lot of Division 5 teams. But they're on a 40-game winning streak for them, and that's including playoffs. And that's just, that's just unreal. Yes, they're looking for their 6th state championship in the last 10 years. And they're led by Mr. Football candidate Sullivan. He has already been an All-Ohio recipient 2 times on both sides of the ball. Fullback this year, 1,350 yards, 19 touchdowns, and that's 19.4 yards per carry. Gage Sullivan, his younger brother, he is a favorite target of quarterback Liam Powers. 252 yards and 5 touchdowns and only 17 receptions this year. So Kirtland's got some studs. They're looking to, again, win another state championship. They will play Ironton. Any thoughts about that one, Sean?
Well, you look at a team like Kirtland, and I didn't know that until we started doing our research. 40-game winning streak, that's a lot. At any level, whether it's Division 5 or Division 1. You win 40 straight games, you're doing something right. What I also look at is with that comes success, and we're talking about their 6th championship in 10 years. I'm not putting the cart before the horse to say that Kirtland versus Ironton, which was a good game last year, I'm assuming, it's going to be a good game this year. Ironton got there. These 2 teams are facing each other again for the reason they have the team. They're well coached. It's going to be an interesting game, obviously, and it'll be fun to watch it. Again, you wonder what a team that's so used to winning. Oh God, a team that's so used to winning, can they be upset and because when you win that many games, I mean, that's 4 years of winning. I mean, and not losing. And
Mm-hmm.
we're not going to go on and go through their record, but they've had to have some adversity. So they've probably seen a lot. I mean, that's an entire graduating class. If they were freshmen, they haven't lost a game their entire high school career. And you wonder how much adversity you see. Are they the best team in the division? Probably. I mean, they're probably the best team, all around team in the top 25 in Cleveland right now. If I'm being completely honest, it's them and Hoban. I mean, just given what they're doing, and they've beaten some big teams this year. They've went up in class. Yeah, they went up in class, and so it's not just like they've been beating up on these, quote unquote little schools. They've gone toe to toe with the big, and they've shown they not only do they belong, but they can win in those games. So that's saying something when you put that 40-game win streak in perspective. It's not all against the blind sisters and the blind. I mean, you're talking about Solon. You're talking about Division II schools. You're talking about, especially this year with the fluidity of the schedule, it offered them some opportunities to play those teams and show their mettle and realize, hey, we're not just a Division V powerhouse. We're in Ohio. We're a Northeast Ohio powerhouse, which is great. I look forward to watching this game in the Akron Massillon, the Hoban Massillon game this week. I think those are going to be my two games that I watch. And again, when is the Kirtland Ironton game?
Stand by. I got to get that schedule up real quick.
Standing by.
That is going to be November 21st at 1:15.
That is a Saturday afternoon of high school football, is what that is.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at this matchup again, it's a rematch of last year's state championship game. Ironton's a tough team. They have Reed Carrico, who is an Ohio State commit. He is up for, Mr. Football in Ohio, 6'3", 225-pound running back, but he is going to go to Ohio State as a linebacker this year. I hope so. He had over 1,500 yards, 25 touchdowns in 11 games. And last year's state championship game, Kirtland's defense held him to 12 carries, only 40 yards. So Ironton's looking for a little bit of redemption for last year's loss. It's going to be a good game, but I think Kirtland is just too much. And once you already beat a team once, especially in a matchup like that, in a game like that, you have that mental edge, that slight mental edge. But again, it's 2020, so anything can happen. But I think Kirtland's on their way to another state championship for that one. Division 6. We'll just kind of give you the rundown of what happened in Division 6. None of the teams are in Northeast Ohio. So in the first semifinal, it was Beverly Fort Fry against New Middleton Springfield. Springfield came away with a 16-13 victory. In the other matchup, Coldwater defeated Columbus Grove 41-27. So New Middleton Springfield matches up against Coldwater. That game will be on the 22nd at 5 p.m. And then to round out, last but not least, Division 7, Lima Central Catholic in the state semifinal lost a nail-biter to New Bremen 28-26. In the other matchup, Warren John F. Kennedy defeated Newark Cathedral, 20-13. So that state championship matchup is going to be New Bremen against Warren John F. Kennedy. And real quick, we will go over the times and dates for all the games. So the first one on the docket, and this is all on the OHSAA website, starting Friday, November 20th at 2 p.m. That's going to be the Division 7 matchup that we just talked about, New Bremen against Warren John F. Kennedy. The next game after that will be Friday, November 20th at 7 p.m. The Division 2 matchup, Massillon, Washington against Akron Archbishop Hoban. Division 5 will start on Saturday at 2 p.m. That is Kirtland against Ironton. Division 3 will be Saturday, November 21st at 7 p.m. Columbus St. Francis de Sales versus Chardon. Sunday, November 22nd at noon, Van Wert will take on Menor Lake Catholic. And then to round out the last game of the year in high school football, Division 6. That'll be Sunday at 5 p.m. New Middleton Springfield against Coldwater.
Wow.
And again, like you said, Sean, Spectrum News 1 will televise the football state championship games live with streaming available for games at, and the websites. The link is on the Ohio High School Athletic Association website. Streaming is free for Spectrum subscribers and $9.99 per game for non-Spectrum subscribers. There you go.
That's it.
Have any ability that you want to watch the games. They are allowing 1,500 spectators per game at the Fortress. So that's nice for the kids to get, some fan participation. That's about 15% of the seating capacity at the Fortress, according to the Ohio High School Athletic Association. But still, 750 tickets per school, 1,500 people at the game. I'm sure they're going to bring in the noise as well.
Oh yeah. It'll be interesting to watch, and again, we started, just kind of go back. Even when we sat down and discussed what we were going to do for football, we, at Sports on Tap, had very little idea of how the season was going to play out, if there was going to be a season at all. But we ended up making the best of it, and I think every school can attest to that. Was it the season every senior dreamed of? No, not at all. You didn't get your 10 games. You didn't get your, your Friday nights in the fall too much. You were constantly testing and, worried about other things. But it's a football season. You got to play the game you love for your seniors. Unfortunately, a lot of kids last year in the spring sports didn't get that opportunity. Basketball, baseball, a lot of those. So, obviously we need to be thankful for what we have. We did have some football. We had some great games. I think we all covered some games. We at Sports on Tap figured out that we don't need to all be at one game. We can kind of spread out a little bit. I got rained on 3 times in a row and didn't like any of it.
I did not get rained on at all.
Every single time Josh and Rob did a game, it was cold, but it wasn't raining. And I remember the first one at Berea Mid Park. Friend of show John Hunick said we were the good luck charm, and we were not that night. But it was a rainy night, and it was perfect because it was just the way 2020 happened. Was games got delayed for a reason that made all the sense in the world, because of lightning, not COVID. And that's what I remember. I remember texting to you guys like, "Hey guys, the game's delayed, but not for COVID related reasons, for like weather." And we were like, "Wow, that's great!" Some sense of normalcy. But
and what you said about for some of the senior football players out there, it wasn't probably the season that they thought they were going to have. But you know what? For a lot of seniors, and I'm looking at teams like Elyria, teams like North Royalton, they were able to make a playoff run, regardless of record. And for a team like North Royalton that actually won
their only 2 games,
or 2, that's special for them. So that's kind of seeing the positive through all the, I wouldn't say negative, because we were able to finish the season, and you didn't hear the schools and the teams and the players and parents, and everyone did a great job doing what they had to do to be able to get the season in, and that's all you could really ask for. And hopefully this could just build on through the winter sports and then on to the spring sports, and by that time, hopefully, everything that's been going on in the world will kind of start to settle down a little bit, and then next year when we're starting our football coverage up in August again, we're going to be talking about a normal 10-game schedule, conference schedule, 3 non-conference games, 4, whatever the case may be, and regular playoffs, and we're having packed stadiums again with 2 marching bands and all in all. But there's a lot is going to happen between now and then. We can only take it a day at a time. I think that's one lesson that we've all learned this year. Only take it one day at a time. And like us, we'll take it one show at a time. But in terms of football shows, this is going to be it for us. 2020, we made it, Sean. We are the 2 survivors left. I'll give you a little, Sean. I'm virtually
Josh,
letting you hold this because you gave it a championship effort this year. So good job
listen,
out.
you need to stop throwing that belt in my face, because I think this whole path to what 2020 began was the day that belt was turned over to you. I think the only way to turn this around is not a vaccine, is not a obviously wear your masks, pray to God for the vaccine. I'm being facetious, obviously. But once I take my championship belt back from you, I believe the world will be set straight, in my opinion.
Okay, well, until then, this is going to be my mask. Boom. Boom. No, in all reality, Sean, fantasy football aside, because that's not good. Great job this year. I think everyone did a great job this year. We'd like to thank everyone who gave us a new follow, visited our website, commented on our videos, provided information for us that was always helpful. Much appreciative of everyone. So with that being said, I think we can sign off for football 2020. We made it. On to hockey. We're going to have some updates here, hopefully within the next week or so, maybe 2 weeks. But everyone out there, be safe, be smart, have a great Thanksgiving. For Rob Troutman, Ed Dick, who are on assignment, for my pal Sean Duffy, I'm Josh Sheffy. We're going to sign off for Sports on Tap. Thanks everyone for listening. Make sure you visit our website, sportsontap.podcast.com. You can watch the video, check out the articles, and just be our friends.